Hello and welcome to an episode of Historically Marked. I am Jason, just outside Mount Vernon, Illinois, probably about a little less than 10 miles northeast of the city, but also just outside the unincorporated community of Campground, Illinois. But there is a historical cemetery that I'm at. Earlier this year, there was a historical marker placed by the Illinois State Historical Society dedicated here. And this is Atkinson Cemetery. And a lot of ancestors of the Atkinson family that reside in this area are buried here, as well as many others. What makes this cemetery very special or notable? Well, we'll find out in the historical marker. Now, there aren't no famous or what I call notable people buried here, but because of this, the age of the cemetery and how it's been preserved the last 10 years, I think it's worth checking out. So here we go. All right, so this is Clear Road, and you gotta take a few roads to get to this, few country roads to get here. But this is the entrance, and unfortunately, you know, that's the only way to park. You can also park on the street if anything, but here's the marker. All right, so the Atkinson Cemetery was established March 11th, 1875 by James Atkinson, who granted the land as a community burial ground. The first recorded burial was in 1843, and it was of Sarah A. Short, daughter of Thomas Jefferson and Martha Short. Now, not Thomas Jefferson the president, Thomas Short. That's what kind of threw me off at first. But the first cemetery committee members were William Brookman, Charles Gowler, C.B. Atkinson, Alfred Short, and Houston Atkinson. Interments include early pioneer immigrants from Kansas, Kentucky, New York, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Virginia, as well as England, France, Germany, and Ireland. These settlers were members of the Angle, Atkinson, Bates, Brookman, Gordon, Gowler, Green, Lisenbay, Shelton, Short, Sledge, Smith, Williams, and Young families. Veterans of the War of 1812, Civil War, Black Hills War, Spanish-American, and World Wars I and II are buried here. And this was put up by not just the Illinois State Historical Society, but also in memory of James Atkinson by the family of David and Vera Phipps Shelton, and sponsored by the William G. Pomeroy Foundation, put up April 2023. I think it's worth noting that William G. Pomeroy Foundation, which is based in Syracuse, New York, and actually went to their headquarters this summer, they have co-sponsored a lot of Illinois State Historical Society markers in the last 2 or 3 years, you know, to help restore memories and all that. And they've also done that to many states. And I visited some in my past videos, but I'm glad they're expanding, you know, outside New York, as is their goal. And so here is the cemetery part. I'll show you that big one in a second. Now, I was trying to find Sarah Short's burial. I saw it on Find a Grave, and it's old, obviously. I mean, we're talking about over 160 years, but it's like finding a needle in a haystack. But there are lots of old headstones, and this is also still an active cemetery. You can still be buried here. I imagine the descendants of these families mentioned on the marker would love to be buried here. But I'm going to check this out real quick. This is the Atkinsons. So this is the Atkinson family plot. This is Dale Atkinson, and then there's more that's mentioned on the other side. So let's see here. E.M. Atkinson, born 1829, died 1892. Nancy, his wife, born 1822, died 1884. And like I said, there's really nobody famous or notable buried here, but I think a lot of genealogists would love to, you know, anybody who's related to these families would love to check out where their ancestors are buried. And some of these stones look brand new. Some are very old. I mean, you can't even, sadly, you can't identify who's buried where. But this was the work of at least 2 women. One of them was Cindy Wallace, who reportedly it was a very timely effort to get the historical marker put up there. And also the Atkinson Cemetery Board Secretary Treasurer Ruth Wheeler, who is a descendant of the Atkinson family. And she has also helped restore and take care of parts of the cemetery over the years. Let's see what this one is right here. All right, Lieutenant Samuel I. Gowler. Oh, wow. World War I casualty. Very interesting. And according to findagrave.com, there are at least 344 interments here. And it's nicely spread out into the woods right over there. And a lot of people showed up to the dedication ceremony. One of them was World War II veteran Everett Atkinson, who of course is a descendant of the Atkinson family. I think it's really cool that a lot of locals really care about their history and where they came from. But I thought this was worth checking out. I mean, it's a little off the beaten path, especially if you're traveling any place around Mount Vernon, but because it's a brand new historical marker and all, I thought I'd come check it out. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Historically Marked. I am Jason, just at Atkinson Cemetery. The cemetery does continue to accept donations. I'll put the information on the screen. But I am Jason, just outside Campground, Illinois. Sign off.